What's going on, traders? Welcome back to Money Mitch. I know I was out last week. On Tuesday, I was traveling to the office. Monday, no work day. So, hey, we're back at it, guys. We're going to be getting into a great interview today. We'll be doing like we always do, talk some market sentiment, pull out some sector analysis, find the industries that are moving, and then hopefully work into the micro and find the stocks that are moving. Of course, like we always do, we're going to talk about some story stocks. And at the end of our show, our second half of our show is going to be getting into peak performance. If you guys are brand new to the show, this is where we go ahead and talk some trading psychology to up your skill level like we always need to do. So welcome to Money Mitch, and let's get the show started. It's time for Money Making Mitch. When investors need a story, we're going to the moon. Welcome to Money Mitch, where story is everything. I'm here to find you the next opportunity. It's all about the green hands. Now, we all know the bull market is here to stay. Money Mitch. What up, traders? Let's go ahead and get this party started. Let's jump right into the overall market, see what we're seeing out there. Let's take a look here at the SPY. What did we get today? As you guys know, we've been drawing levels as we keep going above. We've been stuck in that range, and yeah, we got that turnaround we were kind of expecting because we kept seeing it hit the top. That turnaround did come with a nice bounce this morning, though. Let's take a look at the hourly chart on the SPY. You can clearly see how we found some support going into what? Going into the morning right here. And at the close, you can see this kind of U effect. Nice effect there. I'm going to be looking for a bullish day going into tomorrow as we're really kind of just reclaimed all this kind of little push up that we did. Nice little pull back. Volume coming in during the close. Let's see if we can get back above that 450 tomorrow. That's going to be watching on the SPY as we got a little pullback, but I'm not expecting to see a move back down towards 440. We want to get this right back above 450, getting us above 451, and then that bullish look up there through 455. Let's take a look at the Qs, see what we're seeing on the Qs. We're seeing a little bit of a pullback as we've gotten a run from kind of this. We saw this, remember, this August 19th time, but we had a little bit of a turnaround look, and then we boosted off right back to it. This is the same thing I'm expecting to happen from the SPY. As you can see, look at the bottoming action there on the hourly chart. So I'd want this 374 level to start holding. I don't want it to come back to the 200-day moving average here. I want it to get right back up there towards 380, giving us that bullish sense in the Qs. And, of course, some of our leaders coming back. One of the leading stocks that I want to see come back, of course, is I'm going to be watching stocks like Apple. Apple need to start coming back above that 150. We got that knockdown through that 150. You guys know how I watch Apple and Tesla a lot of the times as market sentiment. Nice recovery day in Tesla today. If you take a look at the hourly, it actually dropped down all the way. We got an hourly low there of 708, but look at that recovery. Already back up there to 743. I think I wasn't the only one looking at this trade this morning. I was looking at Tesla, but I'll be as honest as I can be, guys. It just was going to take a little bit too much of my capital to tie up to jump into Tesla. So I went hands off of it. But when I see moments like that where I see a dip from, let's say, 740 all the way down towards low 700s in Tesla, I'll take a look at it, because if you can see here on the 15, we really did approach major levels, break through multiple levels of support, and a quick recovery up. That recovery itself was almost a 5% move back up in Tesla. We'll see if it gets through the important levels. It tried to get through 760s before. That's going to be the level I'm going to be looking for the upside breakout. And then, of course, when we get moments like this, when Tesla break out, Apple breaks out, I'll be looking for the overall market to also break out. Let's see if the Qs can recover and get back above those levels. All right, guys, like we always do, we do a little bit of sector analysis and industry talk. I want to catch up with the chat because I do see a lot of people talking. What's going on out there? Jim Cruz, Daniel, how we doing out there? Can you talk about your methods for finding story stocks so we can do some we could do ourselves in the future. Daniel, we'll get right to that when we get to our guests. We'll be talking to Story Trading, and we'll talk exactly about that, how they go about it, how I go about it. And you guys always see my process. My process is always to try to find industries that I feel are going to make that next step up. Once I find that industry, I'm working my way backwards, to find the story, the fundamentals, and technicals that match. It's a 3-variable approach, and that's what we want to keep working on. How we doing, Pate Surgeon? Where's the suit at with the green tie? Yeah, I've been rocking the little tech polo here. I should be in a suit, but hey, I'll take it a little bit easy today, and I'll rock the Benzinga logo, and I'm good with that. We got David talking about Fubo. We'll take a look at it for you, David. Anthony in the house. Kevin, Super SPAC Man, ACIC. You're looking for that little that merger vote pop, aren't you? I know how that goes. Don't worry, we'll talk about that. What do you think about Litecoin after the fake news? Well, I'll tell you one thing. When you got the cryptos, I think it's all about the same way we approach these stocks. Let's get a basket of them. Why not? Why only have one? If you could have the industry, maybe you could get that gain that everyone's been getting in crypto, let's say 1,000% gains and things like that. I think if you just have a little bit in a bunch of them, you should get that nice lift. All right, give a shout out, Travis. What's up? It's good to see you, man. Hey, first time viewer, shout out to you. Let's get to it. Let's get a little bit of some sector analysis. So right now we saw energy take a big move up, right? We can take a look at some of those. Of course, let's take a look how the day traders did. Let's take a look at Gush. Look at this turnaround you got on Gush. It was kind of fighting these highs multiple times, is 73.35. And now it didn't turn around, and it gave us a bullish look. And whenever I see these kind of bearish looks, but then a quick turnaround, I want to watch this for a trade tomorrow. Pullbacks towards that 73.35 or maybe 74 mark, and then pushing on up towards the next resistance. We'll see if Gush can start trending here, and oil can also get a little trend. MRO is one that I saw recover well today. Look how that one started looking like it wanted to break down. It was looking like a breakdown right here, and now giving a really strong candle. We'll see if this one can get back up towards 13 if you want one that's a little bit more risk adverse. Let's take a look. Also, financial services doing well. Banks, global banks. Look at WFC. I don't know how Wells Fargo recovers here, but they always seem to recover every time they get a negative catalyst. Look at this 3-day knockdown. Boom, right back up there towards 46. We'll see if WFC can continue moving on upwards. And for that case, you can take a look at some other banks there. They're definitely starting to look a little stronger. We'll see if they can continue making moves on up. And of course, this has to also do with the look of the Feds. And will the Feds taper? Will it happen? That's the question out there. And we saw the ECB start leaning towards that. Now the question is, do the Feds follow? Dupree is asking, am I still in on Genie? Yes, I'll tell you that much. Definitely believe in the story. Definitely think in the long run, I want to stay in it. Of course, I've given out price targets of 25, and that's back when we were at 16 and 15. I took some profit at 20, which is what I had originally stated. And so now I have some shares left that I'm looking to keep running and let them work. Let's keep going. All right, let's take a look. What other industries are moving on up? One that I wanted to take a look at was consumer cyclical, and especially going into more lodging. Look at Hilton today. Hilton with a nice bar up. I didn't expect to see this, but as you guys can see, Hilton in the last 3 days, given a real bullish sign that it wants to go ahead and push on up towards the highs. The high there, last breakout, we got to a high of 136.89. Question is, can we get back up above the second level here? It's going to be 132.69. I'm going to be watching to see if Hilton can actually start trending. Of course, you could also look at Marriott. I kind of like this chart better because of the downtrend that you had. You can clearly see that downtrend trend line and a quick reversal today, which is what you wanted to see. Nice bullish candle. And one of the things you can also see on this one is look at how the daily has now the 50 below it, the 9 below it, and the 200 directly below it. That's all a bullish sign that the moving averages are all going to give it a little bit of support right here. And whether you're in a short time frame or a longer time frame, you're going to be seeing a bullish trend. come out of Marriott. That's going to be one definitely on my watch tomorrow. All right. So another area to take a look at is, of course, recreational vehicles. We can take a look at that. We can go into industrials, see what we're seeing there. But let's take a look at specifically ChargePoint. This is one that's standing out to me on the weekly. Look how this weekly is just sideways right there off the support. I am starting to think about taking a shot off the 20. Last week we had a low. This week we have a low of 2030. It's getting towards those levels, but a really quick scoop up from that 2030. I'm looking at this, and I think this one could come back towards 30. And this is ChargePoint. This is an infrastructure stock. So, of course, they're going to be doing these charging stations, and we do have money to support them. So that's why I like the story here in ChargePoint. We'll see if it gets a turnaround here. And, of course, let's start talking about some other big movers. Let's take a look at NEGG. I do think this one can turn around. Look at this hourly, how it's starting to really consolidate near kind of the same levels. If you look at this trend line, every time it goes past this, though, it wicks and doesn't hold the move. We're going to be looking for it to hold a move tomorrow. If it can get some volume and break out through the 1950 tomorrow, that's what I'll be looking for. If you look here on the daily, what do you see? A lot of sideways action, some volume coming in, but nothing continuing. Let's see if that trend changes. And NEGG, of course, this is one that made a massive breakout on July 7th. We'll see if it gets back up and trending. Next one I want to take a look at, of course, is the AMC, because this one has been trending ever since that downside look to try to break 31. And it started this uptrend where it popped up to 40s, came back down, holding the 9 EMA on the way up, and now really starting to even extend away from the 9 EMA, showing you the strength is definitely on the bullish side. The question is, do we hold 50 on pullbacks? That's what I want to see. I want to just see it completely ladder on up there towards 60. Then we could see a little bit of a pullback because, of course, you're going to run into some overhead supply. But AMC doing well. CNK, a major move up today. Of course, this was supporting news from the Disney. Exclusivity is what it's all about, right? And when we look at movie theaters, that's what we look at. We look at exclusivity, and that's what takes over here. CNK with a nice move on up. And then if you can see, now that we have these multiple highs here, I would actually look for a pullback on this one closer towards 775 and look to see if we can get in this one and risk back down towards the 1684s. All right, let's also take a look at IMAX. IMAX made a big jump up. Same thing, exclusivity, sideways consolidation. Now you get above that 16. I'd be looking for that 16 to hold on pullbacks and start making its way back up towards, let's say, 1950s in IMAX. These are some that I'll definitely keep on watch. And the last one I want to give you guys is Overstock. And why? Because you're in a 3 or 4 week sideways consolidation. And if it breaks out through 74 tomorrow on the upside, I'll be looking for this one for a long up towards 90 and then see if it can break through the 100 finally and then make another level up. And this is Overstock. Why would I like this? It's just because at the end of the day, we're getting closer and closer towards the holiday time. So people are going to start going back to that e-commerce. We're getting into winter. People are going to start coming back to saying, I don't really want to go back to the store. I'm just going to order online and it's just going to show up on my doorstep. That's what I'll be looking for. One of the trends that I'll be looking for is e-commerce to start getting hot again going into the winter. And of course, other plays like reopening plays or summer plays to start going away as you're seeing the interest start going away to go outside with the changing of the weather. All right, that's going to do it for our stock talk today. Next thing we're going to be getting into is our interview. Like always, guys, we like to get into stocks that you guys talk about. And at the very end, I'm going to save some time for ticker time. Normally, I'd go through it right now, but I think we have a great interview to get into. So you guys do me the favor, give us a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think about the story approach, because we're going to get into the story approach coming up next. Like always, guys, if you guys want to keep staying up with me, you guys can find me on Story Investors on Twitter, or coming up next, check out StoryTrading. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and queue up here a little bit trailer on our cannabis conferences coming up. There's going to be in person and virtual. So if you're in New York or you want to head to New York City, come check it out. If not, of course, you can check it out on virtual. All right, traders. So up next, I got Ben with me here from StoryTrading. If you guys have not heard about it, I suggest you guys look down and add him on Twitter. One of the things is it's not only that, he talks story stocks. Let's just say that right off the back, but also, and it gives you an ability to have information when a story stock is released. Like we tell you guys out there, come to me with the information. If you guys got a story stock, I want to take a look, just like Ben does also. So how we doing, Ben? Welcome to the show.
Doing great. So glad to be here, Money Mitch. When I saw your show and your focus on story investors and story stocks, I'm like, he thinks just like me, man. We got to get together and talk about trading.
Definitely. Without a doubt, if you think about our day and age and how we really look at stocks nowadays, it's all about story, right? Yeah, we can come and take a look at fundamentals and technicals, but story to the new investor is like liquid gold, I have to say.
Yeah, story is a big part of it. We define it a little bit differently than you, but yeah, when you talk about retail investors, about 30% of trading volume is now retail. And I have to say, I think even institutional investors are impacted by story. You see that in overvaluations of companies like Tesla. You see it in undervaluations of boring companies. So human beings are human beings. They speculate, they're emotional, they get excited about trends. So it's really important to look at a stock holistically. We look at that through the 4 pillars, we call it. You had 3 that you look at. We look at 4. Those 4 pillars of story trading are fundamentals, catalysts, sentiment, and technicals.
Perfect. So let's expand a little bit about that. First, I want to get into a little bit more about, do you really feel markets are efficient? Let's just start there.
I love this topic, man. Efficiency is one of the most exciting topics I talk about. We debate it in our community. We have a community right now. We collaborate on WhatsApp and on Zoom. We have some meetings. We're coming out with our own app shortly. But in that community, we've had multiple discussions and debates about market efficiency. And my contention is that story is part of that efficiency. If a stock is flying because people are excited about it, that's an efficient price action, right? Because at the end of the day, you can trade an asset for what someone else is willing to pay for it. And if a certain percentage of the market is excited about a stock, they have high sentiment, they're speculating about the future, and it's trading at a high valuation, well, that's efficient because those things matter. And the same thing goes for the opposite. So yeah, I think the market is generally efficient. The way I look at efficiency and define it is, are people technically allowed to trade, right? Logistically, are they able to access their computers? Is there liquidity? Can they make the trades they want? And if they do, then the market action is a net representation of all market opinions out there. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, I would have to say, of course, sometimes I do think that we have, I wouldn't say an inefficiency, but I think what happens there is that the market tries to always be ahead of us, right? At least I feel that the market's always trying to be ahead, not at the moment that we see it, right? If it was at perfect present moment, I think, of course, we'd probably have just literally perfect balance between buyers and sellers. So we're always getting a change of information. And with that change of information comes the forward look of the price. And with that being said, I mean, I don't think there's really a moment when efficiency is perfect, because there's always the different changing of supply and demand. So in the end, it just really comes down to that look. How's the supply changing versus the demand? If both are moving in the same direction, of course, we're going to get a really good trend. And if both are starting to conflict, then that's when trends start to change, right? And so I always look at it as, where's the supply going? Where's the demand? And really, I mean, is this kind of a new investor type of stock? Because there's some stocks that are never going to be in favor with the new investor like they were with the old, right? I mean, let's just be as blatant as can be. New investors are looking for stocks that they know. And then they don't trade stocks like, let's say, a stock like GM. I mean, a lot of our parents traded GM, but we're looking at Tesla. We're looking at the new ones, NIO. We're trying to find that new story. So with that being said, you said that the factors that you guys look at are sentiment, technicals, catalyst,
and fundamentals.
And fundamentals. So let's explain a little bit more about those factors, and maybe going into each one and what you're looking for, Ben.
Sure. Actually, you know what? If I can share my screen here.
Let's do it.
Sure. Walk through it a little bit more detail. All right. Is that showing up there?
Perfect. There you go.
Right. So quick disclaimer, I'm not an investment advisor, neither story trading. Investing in securities involves significant risk of loss. So I made a slide here just about this, about the process at story trading. And it's a 3-step process. And you mentioned this yourself. The first step is getting access to that data. So what we do in our community, we discover, collaborate, and validate key data through crowdsourced research and social collaboration. Again, we do that on WhatsApp and Zoom. And we're going to scale that in our own app in the future. Step 2, once you have that data, you want to understand market pricing, aka the story behind the trade, through the lens of those 4 pillars: fundamentals, catalyst, sentiment, and technicals. And then step 3, this is an important part for me, is now visualize that story behind your trade through chart annotations. Understand that history. The key to understanding what can happen in the future is understanding what happened in the past. All my biggest, most successful, most profitable trades always has been when I went back into the history of a chart and I aimed to understand each of the peaks and the troughs. And I got a really good idea of what's the investor community looking at. What are the factors that make the stock go up? What are the factors that make it go down? And once you have that knowledge about a stock, you know how to react when the next catalyst comes, either the anticipation of the catalyst or when that catalyst comes. And you can jump on it with conviction, be on the right side of that trade when the stock reflates, and really nail the timing. I've made a ton of money like that, especially on options. So that's the way I look at it. That's the whole process.
No, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, I've seen it myself. I mean, when we are with the right timing with the story, and especially when everything lines up, when you get the fundamentals, you're getting analyst price raises, you're getting everybody to start the coverage, and like, it's like always, like sometimes you're on that trade. Next thing you know, you see CNBC covering it. You're like, oh, now you guys want to cover it. Of course, when it starts to trend. And that's what we're looking for, guys. We're trying to get into the right story. I like how you mentioned, not only looking at where the story is now, but where the story was in the past. How did the catalyst affect the stock in the past? Because this can definitely give you signs to look for the future, like you're clearly stating here. Let's keep going. Let's go into a little bit more. So what impact does retail now really have with that 30% of trading volume? And are the stories really that important here?
I think it's huge. I mean, listen, I always thought that even the institutional investors are doing a lot of speculation, right? They get excited, they get depressed. We saw this in 1998. You saw it wasn't just retail buying, the whole internet boom, but there were companies that were bought for tens of billions of dollars that were worthless. And that's because institutional investors and other corporations, they were excited about the internet and they quote unquote overpaid, right? But is it really overpaying when the whole market has the same outlook and the whole market has the same sentiment and the whole market is trying to forward look and trying to anticipate future earnings? Is that really overpaying? And, I would say no, that's just part of the story. That's investing is speculation. So that's part of it.
Definitely. I have to agree. I mean, when you look at stocks that don't, let's say, match the necessary early fundamental knowledge, right? I mean, if we stick to that kind of knowledge, I don't think we're ever going to adapt to the way that the new market moves. And one of the things that we look forward is that we've always kind of looked at price and earnings ratios, right? Forward looking, right? And they always come back to it. I mean, they're like, oh, 30 times X or 10 times X. Value trade. No, what it really comes down to it is how much the investor is willing to pay.
Exactly.
Because if they're willing to pay and continue paying up because they want to be a part of the investment, they don't want to miss out on the investment, that's when you start seeing stocks. It doesn't match the fundamentals. It's basically being pushed because of the story. And that's why I look for story stocks. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to be where the momentum is. And now retail is creating momentum, which was kind of unheard of, let's say 10 years ago or 20 years, right, Ben?
Yeah. Only caveat to that, I would say the story, I think, are people trying to get ahead of the fundamentals. Like for those people who are pure fundamental investors and they want to kind of dismiss sentiment or something. Sentiment is a mechanism whereby you're speculating on future fundamentals. It's people who are really bullish about what's the future, industry going to look like in the next 5 years. What's the world going to look like in the next 5 years? And there's people speculating out there that the TAM is going to be much larger, that this company is going to get a huge market share. That's also fundamentals. It's just people speculating on fundamentals in the future.
Agreed. So let's look at it a little bit closer there. For sentiment, how do you define exactly sentiment?
That's a great question. I think of sentiment it's not just an emotional factor. Some people think, oh, it's on like a stock twits. It's a bullish or bearish tag because the stock's up today, I'm bullish. The stock is down today, I'm bearish. No, that's not sentiment. Sentiment is actually real. Meaning when I say real, it's important, it's meaningful. It's your opinion on management is part of sentiment. Your opinion on the sector. How big is it? How fast is it going to be growing? Maybe your opinion on the most recent conference call. Are these guys executing? Your opinion on the most recent news release. Is this a meaningful, impactful news release that's going to impact future fundamentals? And these are all things that I think are part of sentiment. I think it can be quantified. I think it's important. And I think it can even be used as a corrective factor on traditional metrics such as PE ratios and PEG ratios.
All right, so just to kind of give you a little bit of a fastball here, we've been talking about its story, and we've been talking about the different aspects and how you guys differ from, let's say, the way that I approach it here on Money Mitch. But let's talk about an actual stock, maybe an actual story. Do you got one for us that you can maybe bring?
Sure. Can we throw my screen up again?
Yeah, let's bring it right up here.
All right. So Air Test Systems, I've been on Power Hour like 4 or 5 times actually with
hey, Robert's here for it. He knows it.
Yeah, Hot Stocks Luke's and producer AB. So Air Test Systems, I got into the stock at like $2.70. I'm still holding. It's like $12. This is a chart I shared with Benzinga. Let me just see if it comes up. Okay, this is a chart I shared with Benzinga when I presented like 4 or 5 weeks ago. And the key was, again, understanding the past. So what happened here? Why did the stock, rise up, peak there, and then kind of crash, right? And understanding that allowed me to get in here. And what was it that I understood? I understood that was a large order. It was from Apple, but it was not a sustainable order that was recurring revenue. It was a one-time order based on sampling of their products, okay? And this was the big sentiment against the stock for many years, is that their customers are only going to use their product for sampling, not for production. I don't have time to get into everything they do, but it makes a big difference in terms of recurring revenue. So once I understood that this is what the market hates about this stock, I knew that once that was cured, the market would love the stock. And the stock was about right under 3 when the news releases came out, very specific language that there's going to be significant recurring orders with this new customer, which ends up being Tesla. They don't name Tesla, but it's obvious it's Tesla for their electric cars, right? So once we knew that, hey, this is different than the past, this is recurring revenue for production runs, I loaded up as much as I could under $3. I'm still holding the stock now. It's over $12 or 11.60, 11.80 today.
Definitely. I've been watching this one and the call also. I've been seeing it move, and I agree with you. When you see a stock, and that's the story, I always tell people, look for the story to change.
Exactly.
The story will change. And you need to know that so that when the story change happens, you know if it's going to affect the stock bullish or bearish. I completely agree. I mean, that's a lot of the times what happens. A lot of the times it could be one factor that's holding back the stock. And with that one factor that is released, now the stock is viewed completely different.
There it is. And you can see it right there with that chart. They just had, last week they had a biggest order in company history, a $19.4 million order. They've done $41 million in orders in about 100 days. And when when this started, the run started, the market cap was like 80 million. So it's in a hot sector, electric vehicles, semiconductors. This could keep going.
Definitely. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about trying to find these stories before they take off. And one of the best ways to take that approach is to understand the stock in the past. Understand how the catalyst has affected it in the past. I like how you pointed out how that Apple news was there, but expected it to come back down because it wasn't a confirmed thing. It was kind of that momentum pop. Look for that pullback to come in. And as you guys can see from that moment, I mean, hey, if you would have been waiting for that pullback, hey, you've seen the gains on there. But thank you for coming on, Ben. We'll be coming back to you. And whenever you got a story stock and you want to bring it on here on Money Mitch, let me know. We'll definitely present it. I appreciate you coming on. If you guys haven't checked it out, there you guys have his tag right there. StoryTrading, Story Investors. I think there's some similarity there, guys.
I think so.
You guys let us know what you guys think
Match
about the story approach.
Thank you.
I would love to hear a little bit more. You guys hit up Ben. Let me know how you guys think about the story approach, because I don't think we're new to this. And I think you're going to be hearing a lot more of education come towards more of the story side and how we can put it all together in one package and not look at one side of the variable, but try to combine these variables to give us a better probability. Right.
Absolutely.
In the end, that's what the goal is, right, Ben? Is to just increase the probability and being in the good group of stocks, because there's always going to be that group of stocks that have the story, have the sentiment, have the technicals, the catalysts, and the fundamentals for us to go off of.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you for coming on, Ben. We'll bring you back.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Let me know what you guys thought. I want to hear it in the chat. If you guys think this story approach is something crazy, then let me know. Mitch, you're insane, man. I mean, I don't know how you take that story approach. But really, I mean, I would love to hear your feedback, positive or negative. Hit the thumbs up. Now it's time to get into the second part of their show, where we talk about the mental aspects and how we need to get towards peak performance. We can all take the level to step up our trading. The big thing is we need to work on skill by skill. And this is why I try to do this time in peak performance, because of course, we just were working on our technical skills. We were looking through sector analysis. We were just talking about fundamentals and the story aspect. Now let's get into the mental aspect and how we can get into our best zone to get the best profitability from our systems. Now we're getting into peak performance, and when we return, we're going to knock out, especially on how you guys can start determining your risk here. Welcome, traders. Welcome to Peak Performance, where we flex not our muscles, but our mind here. Let's go ahead and let's get into it today. Want to start talking a little bit about beliefs. So one of the things that we all go through, and it's something that we all need to understand, is that we come from different places, right? We're all coming together in the trading community, but we all came up different ways, had different upcomings, have different beliefs that we rely on. And so one of the things that we need to do is see how that comes into our trading. And with that being said, we're going to talk today about how our beliefs shape our lives and starting to think like a trader versus just relying on what we've always relied, which is our belief system, right? So let's get into it today. Next slide here. And so really what we need to understand is that beliefs impact our lives, right? And understanding how these beliefs really shape it. And so once we understand how that works, we can definitely get towards the next level. So we're going to get to the 4 major ways beliefs shape who we are here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more in depth here. You guys let me know in the chat if you guys have gone through some of these struggles or are learning something about this and want to go ahead and maybe highlight a certain point here of the 4 major ways beliefs shape who we are. So the first one up. Okay, so first thing we need to understand is that we are not born with our beliefs. They're actually acquired. This is something that we learn from our upbringing, whether it be our parents, whether it be school, whether it be even experiences that we go through. We actually acquire these and are not born with these. Let's go into the first one. So they manage our perception and interpretation of environmental information in the way that is consistent with what we believe. So once we start shaping our beliefs, they actually change our perception and how we interpret information. So the second thing is they start creating our expectations. Keep in mind that an expectation is a belief projected into some future moment. Since we can't expect something we don't know about, we could also say that an expectation is what we know projected into a future moment. So this can really run us into trouble as a trader, because once you have expectations, you literally expect that result at the end. And so this is going to be something that we have to start adjusting as traders. So let's talk a little bit more about beliefs here. So anything we decide to do or an outward expression of behavior will be consistent with that belief system. And finally, our beliefs shape on how we feel about the results of our action. Because if we have certain expectations and then we're looking to see those results at the end, it actually creates a perception of that information. And did we get those results that we were looking for? So let's go ahead and let's keep going into. I believe this presentation is not for me. Hey, if the presentation is not for you, Blazing Gaming, then hey, we can keep moving on, and you don't have to work on the mental skills, but we're going to keep working to get better at our peak performance here. So let's get into the next slide here. Next one up is about understanding that we need to start training our minds. Because if we can start training our minds to really understand our beliefs, then we don't have to worry about these expectations coming to negatively affect our account. Let's go into the next slide here. So there's 4 stages really as a trader. And as a trader, we all go through this. First, we really need to build the self-trust necessary to operate in an unlimited environment. So what does this mean? It means that at the end of the day, when you're a trader, if you really look at it, there's thousands and thousands of trades you can take. But what you need to do is build the self-trust in your system that you yourself can operate this system, that you can I can rinse, wash, repeat. I can do this all day long and do this system without a doubt, flawless execution. Once you have that self-trust, then you don't necessarily need to worry about it being an unlimited environment where you have an unlimited amount of opportunities, you start limiting yourself to your system. Let's go to the next one here. So the next one is to learn to flawlessly execute a trading system. Because I mean, I could teach you a system, guys. I could teach you buy here, sell here. But the truth is, can you replicate that and execute it? Because a lot of traders can find a system, but then they can't trade that system because it doesn't match who they are and their personalities. And this is very important for traders. So you need to find what works for you. And so first things first is finding that self-trust, because I mean, there's unlimited opportunities. Second thing is learning to flawlessly execute that system. Third thing we need to do is train our minds to think in the probabilities, the 5 fundamental truths. Because at the end of the day, we all have a tendency of thinking, what? Am I going to be right or am I going to be wrong? And that's really not the way we want to look at trading. We want to look at trading in probabilities. Why? Because at the end of the day, you never know when you're going to be right or wrong in trading, because there's no 100% way to trade. If there was 100% way of trading, then it would be black and white, right and wrong. But it isn't like that. Trading has a lot of different ways to become profitable, and also a lot of different ways to become unprofitable. There's not one way to do it. And there's just not one way also to not do it. So I can't tell you that either. But one thing I can tell you is if you start thinking in probabilities, you're going to have an advantage and an edge over traders that have a tendency to look at their trade as right and wrong. Mindset's everything. That's what it's all about. There's only one way. And this is why I do it, guys. At the end of the day, mindset is everything. And we got to nail this down. And everyone could talk about execution, but we have to be in that mindset to take the advantage of the trading system. Let's go. The last one we need to do is create a strong, unshakable belief in your consistency as a trader. Yes, I said it. A strong, unshakable belief in your system as a trader. This is important, guys. I'll tell you right now. When you start really looking at it and you can tell yourself in the mirror, hey, I have a system. I know what to take. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know when to get out of trades. I know when to get in them. That's when you start having the truth and you start even believing it yourself. You see yourself executing it flawlessly. You know that if you have unlimited opportunities, you're not going to take all of them because only a few are falling under your trading pattern. And also, you're not thinking about it as I'm going to be right on this trade. You're thinking about it in the mentality that you're in probability mode, and this is the high probability trade. That's what gets you to that next level as a trader. There's too many traders that are out there that are not working to work these 4 steps. It's very important if you want to get to the next level in your mentality that you start building, even if it's on 1, and then you're building 2, and then you're worried about 3. Take it by levels. You don't need to know everything at the first time. First, build up what type of trades you're looking for. Try to practice that execution, whether it's by paper or it's small share size. Then train that mind to think in probability. You're never right or wrong. This is why I don't like to think that I'm going to be right on a trade. Let's say if I'm trading it live, I just set up the trade and let the trade work itself out. Create a strong, unshakable belief in your consistency as a trader is going to help you take your trading to that next level, because once you have a system and you can replicate it, now you are what I would call a consistent trader. From that point, you need to learn to just look at your data and adapt and find the inconsistencies in your data, because what that's going to prove to you is that you probably got some inconsistency in your execution of your strategy. So you're always working that back. Am I being consistent with my strategy? How's my execution? Are my results matching my execution? Because that can also happen where your execution, yes, you think you're on point, but when you look back at it, you're not holding to the right spots. And so you always got to look at your data to get the highest edge on your system. So the next thing you want to do is, let's say if you start really, starting to grasp that probability, you're not going to be afraid to put on trades. You're not going to be susceptible to fear-based errors, which meaning like, hey, well, I lost $750 on that last trade. I just don't know about this one. No, you're just going to flawlessly execute a system, which is definitely important. Because if not, let's say if you're not in this way, what's going to happen is you're going to lead towards that negatively charged energy. You're going to start thinking negatively before you even get into the trade. This is when you're not grasping that nature probability. You're not thinking about yourself in wins and losses. You're really just you're killing yourself before you get into the trade. You're seeing a negative result before you even get in it. Let's definitely try hard to stay away from that mentality as a trader. To think in probabilities, you must believe that every moment in the market is unique, or more specifically, that every edge has a unique outcome. Every time we see a trade, guys, that's a brand new trade. Don't think about it like it's the prior trade before it or 10 trades before that. This is a brand new trade with new variables, and you have to execute based on the information that's present to you, not in the past. So when you believe at the functional level that every edge has a unique outcome, you will experience a state of mind that is free of fear, stress, and anxiety when you trade. It really can't work any other way. A unique outcome is not something that we have already experienced. Therefore, it's not something we can already know. So you don't have to be out there thinking, hey, do I have to be right? Do I have to be wrong? Is this the same thing? Is this what I need to know? No, you just focus on the probability of the trade, and this gets you in the best probable advantage. You're no longer thinking about the wins and losses. You're thinking about, how can I get the best probability trade? And then from there, let the trade take off, or I just stop out. That's okay. All right, guys. So if trading was easy, it would be called winning. Yeah, I agree. If trading was easy, it would be just called winning. And if it was 100%, I think, I probably wouldn't be here myself, guys. I would be out there making money. But one thing I can tell you is that if you keep working on your system and you keep developing, you're going to get to that next level. This is why I do peak performance and why I talk about it here, because we all need to take that next level and step up as traders. If you're for some reason going through some struggles right now and going through a rut, ask yourself, am I flawlessly executing on that system? Do I have exactly what I'm looking for? Or am I looking for an unlimited amount of opportunities? And the next thing you need to see is, am I thinking in probability? Am I thinking for wins and losses? Or am I set on trying to look for wins and losses? And this is a different mentality. You're just looking for probability versus wins and losses. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. What matters is setting myself in 20 trades that have 80% probability of getting into the winning position. That's what you want. So that's the beauty of traders, is not to fall in love with them 100% thinking about it. You have to take it serious. I agree, Joel. If you don't take it serious, I mean, we're definitely not going anywhere. But if you do work at it and you get to that point where you can completely look at your system and be like, okay, I trust this. I have confidence in the ability that I not only can execute that system, but I've seen it. I've seen myself do it. And another thing is, I'm starting to get to the point where I look at these trades as full probability. I don't even think about wins and losses. That system is working for me. And it's going to take a while. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to find this easily. You're going to have to find what works best for you. Maybe it's changing your trading style along the way. Some day traders move to swing traders. Some swing traders move to day trading. You got to find what works best for your personality, and that's going to help you capitalize on your return. If you're noticing you're struggling to trade a system and you keep trying to trade that system and it's not working, find something else, because what that may be is the time horizon isn't for you, and you need to find something that works for your time horizon. All right, guys, that's probably going to do it for me on Money Mitch. I'm going to leave the next 8 to 10 minutes here to take some stocks from the chat. I know you guys have been sticking with me all day long. We have over 250 people watching. So if you guys can do me the favor, hit that thumbs up. Let's see where we're at on the likes. I want to see at least 100 likes. Come on, guys, get it up there. We're at 67. Let's get to 100 likes, and I'll stick on and do some technical analysis right now. Some stocks from the chat. What do you got for me? Let me know. I'll sleep better at night day trading. Okay, Bagwell. Hey, I've been there. I used to say the same thing. I can tell you the same exact thing. But I'll tell you one thing. I sleep also better knowing that my risk is never that high in swing trading as it was in day trading. So there's two sides to it, and that's why I always bring it up. ACIC. Wait, did you talk about the story? I'll talk about that one. I got you, Super Smack. Crystal talking about smash that like, hit the diamonds. Diamonds in the air all day. Body dumping, so wanted some insight. I got you. I'll go into that. You guys smash the like. We'll get into some of these stocks, and we'll take a look here. I prefer to swing than day trade. Okay, Kevin, that's what it's about. It's finding what works for you. Find what works for your personality. Some people like to be bang, bang, and done with it. Some people like to think about their trades a little bit more and stick to that risk and return. And it works for me, swing trading. So, I mean, it's all about what works for you. If you can't sleep at night, maybe your positions are too large. I agree, Joel. Yeah, if you can't sleep at night, it's probably what the answer is. The positions are way too big. And another thing is, are you really accepting the risk of your trades? You need to always ask yourself that question as a day trader. I used to not ask myself that question, and that was when I was in the early stages of trading. And what happened was, a lot of times when I did get that negative downturn turns the risk, I realized, maybe I really wasn't fully admitting that I was taking that risk on, and that's why the hit is so much. All right, let's go ahead. Let's take a look. Don't trust the market. It's off. I can't swing in this market. Only day trade. Hey, I can tell you I've been swing trading. I've been making some money. Maybe the percentage may be a little bit down, but it's what works for you, Crystal. And you have to find what works. All right, let's go take a look here. First, I want to take a look at ACIC and what could happen with this. I mean, this is mainly to talk about on SPACs Attack, but if you guys don't know, we do have a SPACs Attack show. That show is all about SPACs, comes on from 11 to 12, where we talk more about these. But really what ends up happening is the float changes and redemption goes high. When redemption goes high, that float gets really low. And when we know we have low floats, what can happen when you get a big purchase? What you could do is essentially start pushing the stock, making the stock go into parabolic mode. And then all you need is the continued momentum to keep pushing it in the direction. Today we went down towards a low of 879. So we could see some high redemptions come into ACIC. But I will let you know, that trade that you're trying to do, Super SPACman, is a highly expert trade. Why? Because I saw people mention it earlier, that direct ordering is very important. And I think this is so important for people to understand. With a trade like this, you're going to definitely have to know how to do direct route ordering, because the trade is going to move faster than you know it. It's going to get on up there towards 12 and 13 and 15s in a matter of maybe 5 minutes. So you have to know how to get out of the trade if you want to take a trade like this. Can you make it, Super SPACman? Yeah, I think you could do it. Just remember, that it is a higher level trade to trade a stock like this. Even though you're seeing these boosts and gains, what you'll see is if you look back at all the ones that made these big move on up, there's not much volume that trades at the top. And if you don't sell at the top, guess what? You're not getting those benefits. You're not getting those returns. So see what happens on that pop. See if there's volume that's selling up there. And that's what matters, because if there's no volume up there, then the trade is very hard to replicate. All right, let's keep going. What's going on about that? You're correct. I know I voted for my shares. I can't blame you if you definitely got that. Ladder out on the ACIC. That's probably the best way to do it. Put small orders out, watch them get filled, and then put up multiple levels. See if you can just get a quick fill. Those pop fills are the best kind of fills. Lately, you've been selling puts on highly volatile select stocks and have made the most money, very profitable. Agree. In a moment where you're seeing volatility start to contract, and you're also expected to see these stocks be highly volatile and the stock's not moving on that volatility, when you're selling puts on there, you're going to definitely see some profit. It's a battle in options. I'm no expert, so Joe, I will stay away. But hey, if you're nailing it, power to you. Let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about some other ones. Looks like we're at 86 likes. We need to get to 100 likes. Come on, guys. Get me up there. Let's get it up. All right, guys. So let's take a look at some other stocks being mentioned in the chat. I did see body being mentioned, so I'll get into that. Cardiac, I got you. Let's take a look at the body. The Beach Body actually had some commercials. I actually saw some commercials, some recent ones coming out, and they don't look too bad. I'm going to be paying attention towards this one. I've been waiting for a dip towards 5. Let's see if we can hold 650 here and then get back above 7. But if we could get a hard dip through that $6, I'm going to be coming after this one. Body. I've been looking for a down kind of action where we level off. Right now, we're leveling off near 632. But I don't think that could be the bottom. I do think we could get into the 5s. So I'm going to stay away from right now on body, but you know my feeling on it. I am bullish on the story, but that doesn't mean we just go long body, because I like the story, but right now the fundamentals and the technicals are not showing that on the chart, and we can clearly see it. It's not in favor. Wait for that to change. That's when I'll be looking at body. All right, definitely smash that like. Let's keep it going. I'll sleep better at night. Day trading, hey, sleeping better, that's all that matters. I mean, at the end of the day, with low risk too, I got about 20 to 30% downside possible. Volatility crunch, time to play in action. 100% you do got it in action. And one thing that's helping you is you're selling the contract, not buying it. So that makes a huge difference there. All right, let's see what other stocks. Fubo was mentioned. Let's take a look at that one before we get on out of here. So Fubo did take a downturn, not what I wanted to see on the daily chart, as we were coming up right to that 30. We wanted to break out through that 30. So now it really needs to just hold here, get back up there towards that 30. If not, we're going to be cracking back down towards support. I do like this stock, but I did not like that turnaround right now. It needs to hold this weekly low of 26.44. If it breaks that, I think you're going to start heading back down towards, let's say, 25. That's Fubo. Let's get it back up there on the daily chart. As you can see, that turnaround it'd be better if you can see the chart there. That turnaround right here, that's so important right here, guys. On that 30, it tried to get over the level. I always talk about the 3 tries, right? So it tried right here to hold above 30. Tried right here to get above 30. Then the last day it tries to get above 30, can't hold it. When you can't hold those multiple highs, you usually come back and test the low. And so let's start testing those support, seeing if we can get a turnaround coming back up through that 30. And then that would give it a really bullish look on up, and that's Fubo. Sorry about not showing the chart there. I mean, hey, if I don't show the chart, what are you going to see? All right, there you go. Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry about that. I know I was talking about it and you couldn't even see anything. But I will do my best, guys, to always cover the stocks like I know it best. I've been at this game for a long time now. I've been doing technicals for about 5 to 6 years. I'm right now studying on my CMT. So I'm trying to take my technicals to the next level, but always it comes down to story for me and the 3 variable approach. We need to understand technicals, fundamentals, and story. We need to look for all 3 to match when we go and take trades, because it can go one way or it can go the other way if any of the variables change. Let's say for today, I did get stopped out, guys, and I try to be transparent. I was in Airbnb and I was making good money. And today, with that hard candle down towards support, I got stopped out, guys. I was close towards that 157 where you see these support lines. And in today, in one hard down move, I got stopped out of this trade. And that's what you have to do sometimes. As much as I wanted to hold this stock this morning, it went down underneath my support level, which was right here. And once it cracks into that level, I'm out of the trade. And that's what it's about. I'm not always going to be right, and I'm not always going to be wrong. It's probability, guys. And I can't look at the trade and be like, man, I was wrong on Airbnb. No, the trade just didn't go in my way. And I set it up correctly. I got it in a nice area, was looking for a profit. It didn't get to that level. So I was holding and working the swing trade. Everything was going in my direction. On Friday, I got up to 168. I was trying to take profits at 170. And when the trade turns around, it's okay to cut it because the technicals weren't there anymore. And even if the fundamentals and the story pointed to upside look on Airbnb, I went and cut it today because that's just what the system tells me to do. And the probability is that I'll just keep sticking to trades like this and I will get the winner, even if this one becomes a winner after I cut it. That's what it's always about, guys. You guys hit the like. Let me know what you guys want to see next. I'm going to keep doing some interviews, but if you guys don't want to see the interviews, I don't have to bring them on here. I'm just trying to change up the show, give you guys some technicals first, get into an interview, talk some peak performance, and of course, take some stocks from the chat. Hit up the comment after if you guys enjoyed today's show or want to see something else on Money Mitch. I'll see you guys next time. And like always, guys, keep working on your trades and keep working on your peak performance. We'll see you next time on Money Mitch.